I invited my girlfriend's just a friend to a cabin trip. She completely forgot me and openly flirted with him in front of everyone. I drove home that night, packed her things, and refused to take her back. My name's Nate, 29, an insurance underwriter in Ohio. The kind of quiet job that fits a quiet life. I had a clean apartment, a paid-off truck, a steady routine, and for 3 years a girlfriend named Brooke, who said my calm nature made her feel safe. We met at a small book club where she loved debating characters while I mostly listened. She once smiled at me in the parking lot and said, "You actually think before you talk. That's refreshing." I asked her to dinner and she said yes before I finished the sentence. For a long time, things worked. She left little notes around my apartment that said things like, "You're my favorite person." Her parents liked me too. Her dad, Frank, would clap me on the back at family barbecues and say, "You're the anchor she needs, Nate." Her mom, Helen, once told me, "You're the first boyfriend who doesn't make her nervous." But they also warned me she got restless when life felt too comfortable. I forgot that warning until Garrett came back into the picture. Garrett was her old college friend who reached out about 8 months before everything collapsed. At first, it seemed harmless. "He's just a friend, Nate," she said when I mentioned she talked about him a lot. "Don't be that guy." After that, I stopped asking questions, even as things changed. She kept her phone face down during dinner, stepped out of rooms to answer texts, and grew distant. Then came our annual cabin weekend by the lake with friends. While we were packing, she said casually, "Garrett's single now. Maybe we should invite him." I felt uneasy but agreed. When we arrived Friday afternoon, everything seemed normal until Garrett showed up and hugged Brooke a little too long, his hand resting on her lower back. "Good to finally meet you," I told him while shaking his hand. He smiled and said, "Brooks told me a lot about you." Saturday morning felt fine during our hike, but by lunch, she sat next to Garrett instead of me, laughing about old college stories while touching his arm. Megan and Reese noticed. I noticed them noticing. That afternoon, Brooke and Garrett took kayaks out together while the rest of us stayed behind. When they came back, she shrugged and said, "You should have joined us." That night around the bonfire, things finally crossed a line. Brooke leaned into Garrett, whispering and laughing while his hand rested on her knee. I looked at her across the fire and she shrugged and said loudly, "It's just harmless fun. Lighten up, Nate." The group went silent. I stood up calmly, brushed off my jeans and said, "I'm turning in early." She barely looked at me. "Already?" she asked, but her attention was still on him. I walked back to the cabin, packed my bag, and drove 2 hours home while her messages lit up my phone. "Where are you?" "You're overreacting." It was nothing. I didn't answer. The next morning, I boxed up her things and placed them by the door. When she started texting again, I simply replied to her friend Kayla, ask her about the harmless fun. Brooke eventually showed up outside my apartment, pounding on the door. "Nate, open up. Let me explain." I answered through the door. "Go home, Brooke." She cried, but I didn't open it. Over the next weeks, she tried every angle. Apologies, blame, promises. Her parents even called. Helen said gently, "Brooke told us there was a mix-up." I replied, "No mix-up, just disrespect." Frank later told me quietly, "If she hurt you, I'm sorry." Meanwhile, Garrett disappeared completely and blocked her. Friends from the trip reached out. Megan told me, "You didn't overreact. You just reacted." A week later, Brooke tried one more time outside my door saying, "I felt neglected." That word hit hard. I had cooked for her, supported her family, and stayed loyal for 3 years. Neglected wasn't the truth, bored was. I told her again, "Go home, Brooke." After that, my life moved forward quickly. I got promoted at work, joined a softball team, started fishing Sunday mornings with Reese, upgraded my apartment, and even took a solo camping trip. 4 months later, she texted from a new number. "Can we meet?" "I've lost everything." I replied, "Peace is better." Megan later told me Brooke had quit her job, moved back with her parents, and lost most of the friend group. Even Garrett had told her, "I think you're confusing me with the guy you were actually dating." Meanwhile, my life kept improving. I slept better, worked better, and felt lighter than I had in years. At a cookout months later, Megan pulled me aside and said, "You look good, Nate. Actually good." She was right. The best part wasn't revenge or closure. The best part was realizing that the moment Brooke told me to lighten up while leaning on another guy, I chose to leave quietly, and that decision rebuilt every part of my life from the ground up.